Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
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 Because it's time to right now. Welcome to another daily motivation stream. I'm Kaufman, and today we're going to get some writing in. We know, same old, same place, same old, same old. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for waiting, my friends. In a perfect world, my goal was to start at 4. Scheduling wise, today I knew it was crazy. Then I pushed to 4:15. And of course, I'm starting at 4:30, my time, of course. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you for hanging and waiting and chilling over here. Welcome, my friends, Calvin, Susan, ML, Blast, and Cheryl. Yes, you are on Kaufman time today. I totally failed. I'm actually usually pretty good about communicating when I'm behind. But I didn't have any service. So I was a little bit struggling on the struggle bus a little bit in terms of my time, but I am here. Thank you guys all for hanging out. I very much appreciate you. Let me throw this up. You guys know the drill. We're going to get some writing in today. I'm going to throw up, we'll do a 45-minute sprint. We'll see what we can accomplish. I am loving the chapter I'm at. And let me tell you, I have been coming up with some crazy ideas for the gaps that are part of my book. So you guys know, I've been working through The Last Scarecrow. Everyone knows that. And currently on draft 2. There's parts I ask myself as I'm now about to reach the midpoint chapter, which I should be there hopefully within the next week or so. I ask myself, what are the weakest chapters developmentally that are part of the overall narrative that I feel like really need to be strengthened? And I would say there's probably 2 to 4 chapters that I know need some, could be elevated. So that way they're just a little stronger. And it's really cool when I've gotten through this part and I feel really good about the book where I'm at so far, the first half of it. And I'm asking myself, I'm like, okay, what are these story beats that it's really missing? And I'm sure you can resonate when you've been thinking about your story for so long and certain beats or certain character moments just click. And you know those are the right beats. Those are the right things that it was missing. Like maybe a character plotline was fuzzy. Maybe a world building element, you just didn't really know it very well. And you're like, no, okay, now it makes sense. So I'm just very happy and I'm super excited to get into this part of the chapter. So we're going to hop into it. Thank you everyone for hanging out and let's do a writing sprint. I'll join you all in the chat. We know same old, and we'll see what shenanigans we can get into. So I'm going to push this straight here. Nice. Cheryl, yeah, I know. It's like, I know you resonate, right? When the plot clicks. I remember having that moment. You know what's interesting? The last time I had that huge plot clicking moment was when I was on the first draft around this part of the book, actually. So I love that I've had a couple other things click in place for me. So, but let's see what we can get into, right? We're starting late, which means we're going to write and see what we can do. I'm going to push myself straight into it. Like I said, 45 minutes. I'll join you in the chat if you have questions or you just want to talk. Otherwise, let's get into writing and I am all good to go. So whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, revising, author branding, or maybe you're just coming up with a new idea, come join us because it's time to write now. All right, my friends, making up some solid progress. Nice. Writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Were you able to make some progress that time? Hopefully, fingers crossed, we all made some progress in our writing. How did you do? Did you get some words in? I know I saw a couple of you throughout the sprint that it sounds like you've been making some great progress today. Whether you're working on your own story, whether you're joining us for the August writing challenge, how are you doing so far? We are on day 8, and hopefully we are making some progress. I was like, how many words? It's like I didn't do too many. Probably only did about 400 to 500, give or take, with doing some additional revision outside of that. Nice. Penumbra, like 250 to 500 words, depending on those factors. Excellent. Blast, like fix chapter 1 and fix some character development. That's a nice feeling. That's a really nice feeling, especially so early on in the book. You know, it's kind of interesting. I really hope that I nailed chapter 1 of Scarecrow. I feel like there's still an opportunity for it, and I don't know what. There's some elements that I'm really happy about with how it came out in the second draft. Second draft of chapter 1 Scarecrow is way better than the first draft. I don't know if it's quite there, and I'm going to need to pay some special attention to chapter 1 at some point in the future, since the first chapter has to hook the reader. If the first chapter is not good, the reader doesn't keep reading the book. So we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. All right. So that feels pretty good. Thanks. You got this. I'm like, yes, bazinga. Hopefully we'll get there eventually. I am having so much fun though. This part of the book, for where I'm at right now in the book, as I'm getting closer to the midpoint chapter, which midpoint chapter is next chapter, this is such a fun part of the book. It really is. And I'm going through each of these POV bits, the POV jumps to our different characters, and it's really fun. It's fun. It feels like the pacing is moving along. We have these different character moments, and I think it's a really nice transition after we got the crazy fight scene in the last chapter, and now we're getting pulled into the plot of like the escape. Is there going to be an escape? How's it going to work out? We have some fun little side stories. We have a couple of some other things happening that are intermingled with the escape, and it's going to be fun. I'm loving how the chapter's turning out. Oof. Get shivers just thinking about it. Well, I hope you're able to make some progress as well, my friends. I feel pretty good about what we accomplished today. I will be back tomorrow with the story and critique stream. So if you're needing feedback on your story, submit now. You can submit a story excerpt. I accept all types, right? Fantasy, sci-fi, children's, memoir, thriller, whatever's on your mind, whatever you're working on. Submit now, submit an excerpt. You'll get a live reading and a live critique. And the great thing is, it's absolutely free. I've done well over 200 stories on the critique stream. So make sure to submit now, because I want to hear your story. I want to help you out so that way you can have a better story. I want to be able to help give you feedback to improve your story. Like I said, I've done well over 200 critiques now, just on the story and critique stream alone. If you want to submit, the submission link is down in the YouTube description down below under our upcoming events. Let's see, I'll be streaming tomorrow. Critique stream will be at 2 Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Usually it's an hour earlier, but my schedule's a little all over the place this weekend. So we will be doing that tomorrow. Let's see. I know, Cheryl. Time goes so fast. It's so crazy because I want more time. Like I want to do longer sprints, but I think right now my longer sprints are happening on the weekends. I think my September schedule is about to change again, which means I might start getting more time for writing than I've had over the summer, but we'll see. Gore, like, do you plan on self-publishing or sending it to editors and literary agents? That's a great question, Gore. I know a lot of writers do a mix. Some self-publish, some send to literary agents. I spent a lot of time really thinking about how I wanted to tackle this. I personally want to explore the different types of publishing. And I want to bring you all, everyone here in the community, along with me on the experience so you guys can see what it's like. The first book of this book. I've been working on The Last Scarecrow. I'm going to be self-publishing. I have a whole probably like 3 to 5 month launch strategy once the book is far enough along. The reason I want to self-publish is because this is my premiere book. Even though I've been writing my entire life and I probably have well over 50 projects in my catalog, I've never really attempted to publish a book before. So this is going to be my premiere self-published book, and I feel pretty good because I've talked about it a lot in the community, so I know there's some awareness about it, and I am and then later books I'll make an attempt at going for a literary agent or going indie publishing and trying out different routes later on in the process. But for the first book, it'll be self-published, and I will soon, once I reach the midpoint, I'll probably feel in a better place to announce when I am going to be setting the date for the book cover reveal and the website launch. So I will be launching the book cover reveal, so everyone knows, right? What is the book cover of The Last Scarecrow? It's done, and let me tell you, it is epic. It is epic. I'm so excited for it. So I'm really excited to show you it. I am so grateful to my cover design artist. It turned out magnificent. I'm really happy about how it turned out. He was able to really capture the spirit of what I wanted. So I'm so excited I will do a cover reveal stream, and I'll pair that up with the launch of the Last Scarecrow website. So more on that once I decide to set a date. I keep wanting to set the date, but I'm like, I don't want it to be too early. I need to make sure I'm far enough in the process so I can so I don't feel like I'm rushing myself. So super excited. Thanks for asking, Gore. Great question. And Calvin, you sent in a chapter of Storm. Yes. Absolutely looking forward to it, my friend. I don't know how many submissions there are, but there's probably a good deal. So looking forward to reading all your stories tomorrow. And that's what I got for you, my friends. We made some excellent progress this week. Saturday, like I said, tomorrow will be story and critique stream. And then Sunday will be another writing sprint stream. I got some stuff going on. So my schedule on Sunday's a little all over the place, but Sunday we'll be doing some writing sprints. Once I figured out what time is going to work best for my schedule, I'll be highlighting our author tube, the August writing challenge, and I'll be touching upon that on Sunday, and it'll be a blast. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining us. You're like, thanks for a solid answer. You should have decent success compared to someone with zero marketing. Yeah, and I mean, Gore, thank you for that. I don't think I'm like a marketing expert. Like my background is in creativity. I'm definitely more of a creative, but I've learned a lot from doing all these years of YouTubing, from building up a writing community. I've learned a lot of things that have worked, some that have not. And it's all about trying new things and seeing things that other people did and trying things that work for yourself. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. I'm hopeful. I mean, of course, I believe Scarecrow is going to be the best action adventure book that people will read in this year. Yeah, but once again, I don't get to decide that. The readers get to decide. So I'm just going to I'm telling the best story that I can possibly tell, and I'll see what everyone thinks of it once it's ready to launch. Super excited. All right, Blast. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much for joining. If you enjoyed the stream, don't forget, tap that like button on your way out. Help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, that's all I got for you. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. Words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. It's time to write
Right
now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now. Is that right?
Words are wind, but stories are forever.